Hey witches, so I wanted to do a little video about Beltane. I've done some holidays, but not a whole lot. I want to try to get all of them done eventually, but I thought since it's coming up soon in a couple of weeks, I could give you guys some things you can do, some ways to celebrate, some spells that you can do, and a little bit of background info because can't do the video without that in it. So I promise that won't take long though, and you might learn something that you didn't know. So of course Beltane, however you want to pronounce it, I'm going to pronounce it that way because that's the way I say it. But it marks the start of the summer. So the earth is awake. Finally. It's finally here. It's time for everything to start growing, everything to turn green, flowers everywhere, just abundance AF, right? And think about it, back in pagan times, this was huge, because now we can look and enjoy, the beauty of the summer and everything and all that, but back then they had to have those crops. They had to have a good growing season or else their whole year was fucked. So it just kind of makes you appreciate it even more because we are so spoiled. But anyway, so if you look on the Wheel of the Year, if you locate Beltane on the Wheel of the Year, you notice that opposite to Beltane is Samhain. So those holidays are both, the veil is very thin. I'll just put it that way. The veil between the other realms, other worlds, is super thin. It's the thinnest at Samhain, but Beltane, it's also very thin. And it makes it a really good time to work with the Fae. But I know everyone, thinks, oh, cute little fairies, they're so sweet and kind, and they're not going to hurt me or anything. You have to be very careful when you're working with the Fae because they're wonderful little folk, but they like to hide your shit. They can cause chaos in your life. They're a little mischievous. I'll just leave it at that. So be careful when you're working with the Fae, and you want to make sure that you build a good relationship with them and keep that good relationship because you don't want to piss off a fairy. So I won't go through all the offerings and stuff. You can leave them, but they love sweets. You want to avoid iron for sure if you want fairies coming around and you have a little garden for them. Make sure there's no iron anywhere near it. And I've always heard that they don't like lemons either. So anytime I ever do an offering for the Fae, I never include lemons because I've just always heard that they don't like lemons. I don't know if that's true or not, but I avoid those two things. They definitely are attracted to sweets, any kind of sweets. I love to leave just candy and candles sometimes and maybe some spring water for them. I may leave just a little offering glass, like a little shot glass that I have for this purpose and only for this purpose, but I'll fill it with honey and then maybe just sprinkle some flowers around the little shot glass and put that on an offering plate and just set it outside in the moonlight and leave it overnight. But you can come up with lots of ways to offer things to the Fae, and I'll link my fairy candle video below and anything else I have that has to do with the Fae. I think I have 3 or 4 videos. But anyway, so it's a good time to work with the Fae. Now, way back when, in ancient times, the women and the children would take the cattle to higher grounds, and what would happen is they would need to move the cattle so they could take care of the summer pastures. So they would move them, and The women and children would tend to the cattle. And then the men would plant the crops. And that's such a big deal because that's where all of their food came from. Their milk is coming from the cows. The meat is coming from the cows. You know, they want the cows to have plenty of babies and have milk all year. But also, the men planting the crops and then tending the farms, doing all that farming was really important too, because you can't just live on meat. Not healthy for you, especially red meat. So they kind of divided those tasks so that they could get everything done. And that also taught the children how to do what they needed to do when it got to be their turn to run the household. So during Beltane, just like Samhain, like I said, the veils are super thin. So it's a good time to work with the Fae, but you can also work with your ancestors. This is a wonderful time to do if you want to do a seance, some kind of necromancy. Just like you would do at Samhain, you can do it during Beltane. It will not be as powerful because the veil is not as thin, but it's pretty damn thin. And if you have enough intent and you have enough energy and patience and just the desire in your heart to contact a loved one, trust me, you can. I just did it last weekend. You can do it. It's hard. It's emotional. But you can do it. And it would be a wonderful opportunity while the veils are thin. So just think about that. If you're not going to do any kind of work like that, you want to maybe take this time to straighten up your ancestor altar, light a candle on your ancestor altar. Even if you're hoodoo, you might want to put out some ancestor money. You might want to do an offering. You might even go as far as to do a silent supper like you would do at Samhain. It just depends on you. It is all up to you. You can do one thing I said, everything I said, or nothing. It doesn't matter. It's okay. And another cool thing about the fairies is that the Fae, they're also tied to fire. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 with Beltane and the Fae, because Beltane's all about the fires, and the Fae are also heavily tied to fire. So, Beltane begins at dusk on April 30th, and it ends at dusk on May 1st. So, technically, the day, I guess, for Beltane is May 1st, but usually celebrations will last, 3 days, because there's so much to do, and it's just such a wonderful energy to work with. So, you can celebrate it on any of those days. I would definitely make sure that I got up on May 1st and before the sun comes out, before the light hits the earth, you want to go around with just a glass. You can even use a plastic cup if you want, but glass is better because then you can see. But what you're going to do is go around your yard, pay attention to the clovers and any other plants that the Fae like, and just scoop the dew very carefully. Don't hurt the plants, but gather the dew with the jar. Go over your whole yard, every clover patch. If you don't have any clovers, just use grass. If you see a flower that's got some on it, you can kind of tap that flower in there. Just don't hurt anything. Just get as much dew as you can, because you can use that in a lot of things that I'm getting ready to talk about. But I thought since I was talking about the Fae, I would include the dew. And because we were talking about May 1st. So on the morning of May 1st, before the sunrise happens, get your butt out there and get some dew. And you won't get much. You'll probably get like a teaspoon, maybe a tablespoon, but that's plenty for what you're going to need it for. So, of course, during Beltane, the most important element is fire. Of course, it's a fire festival. Beltane can be translated to the fires of Bel. And if you don't know anything about Bel, Bel is a solar god. And on the eve of Beltane, all of the ancient pagans would take their household fires in their hearths or wherever they had the fires. They would put those out, and then they would go out and they would light large fires on hilltops. So they wanted to get rid of the fire in their homes and just do it outside as a tradition. So when they lit those fires on the hilltops, they're honoring Bel. They're honoring the summer. They're honoring the sun god. And they're doing that at dawn because they're honoring the sun god. We do that when the sun rises, right? So it's the reverse of Samhain, because at Samhain, when do we light our fires? At sunset. So it's the complete opposite. But the cool thing about it is that the veil is still thin. So I don't want to say necromancy, but I'm going to. The necromancy type of things that you would do, anything ancestor work and stuff that you would do during Samhain, you get another shot to do that. You can do that at Beltane too. So anyway, during Beltane, it was said that you could not give away any fire from your home. So that's one reason they put them out. They didn't want to do that, because if you gave any of your fire from your home away, it was said that your luck for that whole upcoming season would diminish. And nobody wanted that. So people were really stingy with their fire. But it is said that the very first Beltane fire was lit by Mead. I pronounce it Mead. Some people might say Mide or Mid, but it's Mide, the Druid. So he was supposedly the one that lit the very first Beltane fire. Now in Scotland, which Beltane is extremely Celtic. It's got other branches, where different religions in different countries have taken it and done this and that, but it originates in your Celtic lore, your Scottish lore, and your Welsh lore. Those are the main three, but it's extremely Celtic. But in Scotland and Wales, the Beltane bonfires were made from 9 sacred woods, and they called them need fires. And what they would do is they would take the cattle and they would drive the cattle between 2 fires before heading them out to the pasture. And the reason they did that was it was thought to make them healthier and more fertile. So just a little history. That's not all of the history. I could go on for an hour about it, but I'm not going to give you a history lesson. That's not what I want to do. I want to give you some stuff you can use for magic. But just kind of cool, to always be able to understand why we celebrate the things we celebrate. So speaking of celebrations, what can you do to celebrate Beltane? Well, the first thing that I think you should do, whether you're solitary, especially if you're solitary, but even if you're in a group, a small group, a coven, whatever, you want to take your little self and attend a festival somewhere, a celebration. You can find one. Just go onto Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook page, just make one and join a couple of witchy groups in your area and check on the events, and I guarantee you there's at least one, because near me there's probably 6 going on that are in my state and the surrounding states. So you probably won't have to drive that far either. There's one happening about 35 minutes from me that I might go to. I can't decide if I want to do a 3-day thing or a 1-day thing, or if I want to stay in a hotel or a campsite, because one of the places says all the campsites full, so I don't know. But I will damn sure figure it out, because I'm going. And the reason you want to do festivals The reason you want to do these celebrations is not just so that you can, celebrate, pay your respect, to tradition and honor the tradition and have fun. It's not just about that. It's about meeting like-minded individuals and connecting on a deeper level to people, with people that you won't, you don't get to see every day. Unfortunately, our religion, if you want to call it that, but our way of life, following the old ways, is becoming more popular, but in a way that's bad, because we're attracting some people that really are doing this for the wrong reasons, but also is still not accepted. You know what I mean? It's not, oh, okay, they're a witch, that's fine. And I don't know when it's ever going to be like that. I hope it will be one day, but it's not right now. So it's hard to find like-minded people in gatherings, depending on the gatherings you go to. But, you can't go to a bar and meet a bunch of witches. And if they are, they're probably not going to announce it unless you just strike up a conversation and it comes out. But anyway, attend one of these. If you can't make it this year, and try to do another Sabbath or Esbat. You can. There will be something going on in your area. But the thing about Beltane is it's wild AF. I have been several times, and every time there's a good bit of nudity. So a lot of these people that are hosting these events will put that they're child friendly, family friendly, but it makes me laugh because I know somebody's clothes are coming off. Because it's a festival about sex and fertility. I mean, that's the whole point of Beltane, is, the marriage of the god and the goddess, the grand rite, the athame going into the chalice, the athame represents the phallic symbol, and then you can either use a cauldron or a chalice. Typically it's a chalice, but the chalice is the vessel representing the womb, so pretty sexual. And the grand rite is, if they're doing Beltane right, then that's going to happen at some point. And it's a time of heightened sexual energy, I guess I should say. Anywho, so hopefully you can attend something. Now, if you can't, that's cool, because I'm going to give you some stuff that you can do on your own, like I always do, because I understand what it's like to be solitary, and I enjoy being solitary. People get on my damn nerves too much to have people around all the time when I'm trying to do what I need to do. But so the second thing that you can do is make your own maypole. Does it have to be 12 feet tall? No, it does not. But it's, you're not going to be able to use it if you make just a little model. But you can make a little model, and I've actually made one a few years ago. I did a little model with there's a YouTube tutorial that I actually have seen too, and I'll link it below for you guys. But basically, you just take like a dowel rod, or you can even use a paper towel roll, and then make it that way. And then it's just something cute to decorate your altar with, or your home. But if you could do an actual maypole, that would be pretty cool, but sort of difficult to do. But if you are, a little side note, if you are going to attend a Beltane celebration, you probably do want to review the steps to a maypole dance, because it's not just walking around a maypole with ribbons. You have to bow and then do different steps and count, and then you weave, and it's not the most simple thing to do. It is once you get the hang of it, but the first time is a little confusing. So just make sure, just a heads up, so you don't look like a jackass. Because I did the first time I ever tried. Okay, so another thing that you can do is you can make a floral crown. So you just take, you can take some little reeds or grass, whatever you've got that's stable, or even buy just a vine, little vine wreath thing that'll fit on your head. And then just go find some beautiful wildflowers and stick those in there, or either weave them into the grass. However you want to make it, it's up to you. It's your floral crown. And that'd be something really cool to do with kids, even the maypole thing, because kids enjoy this stuff too. And they don't have to know why. If you're not comfortable telling them why you're doing what you're doing, then just don't tell them. Just do it, because they have fun. They have a great time doing this stuff, and they don't have to know why. And deep down, they probably do know why, because they feel it in their blood. But if they're under 15, 14, just let them enjoy what they're doing without bringing the why into it, unless you're comfortable. Just because you don't know what kids say at school, and if they tell the wrong person, it might be trouble for you, and you just never know. People are assholes. So next, you can make what is called May Day nosegays. And it's Nosegays. But what it is, it's like a little, you take it like a doily or construction paper, and then decorate like a little cone thing, and then you make a little handle with it. You can use a pipe cleaner or paper or twine, whatever you want to use. And then you fill that with fresh wildflowers, and you hang it on the little doorknobs of friends and family or neighbors, and you just do that. And your own, of course, but I thought that was cute, would be a cute little idea to do. So you can also build a bonfire, and I probably should have put that first. If you are going to celebrate at all, make a bonfire. At least make a cauldron fire. Okay, some bring the fire element in a vessel that's not a candle. Don't just light a Beltane candle. Make a damn fire. I will link my video to 4-9 Sacred Woods, and you can even use one of those to make it even more magical. But please light a fire, even if it's just for a few minutes. Do that, and just honor the season, honor the god. Just do that. Honor the element of fire, honor the fae, maybe even write something to say out loud. I'll put a link of some things from my pagan prayer book. I'll type up a few things that you could maybe say if you want, but definitely do that, at least that, okay? And then you can feed the fairies, like I talked about already, and work with them, but be careful. And you can also honor the fairy queen. There are many ways you can do that. I think the best way is to come up with a really beautiful offering, maybe with flowers, and maybe even do something baked, and then some type of libation and a candle, and just set that up really beautifully outdoors, and then say out loud, that you're, please step forth and receive your offering, and then, come on in and then collect whatever's left and dispose of it however you want, but definitely do some type of honoring. And then you can also be generous. You should always be generous anyway, but especially now. And the reason why is because this is a time where abundance is basically being sowed, because we're not reaping the crops yet. just planning them, getting things ready. But some forms of abundance have already started, to show up, like the eggs and milk and things like that, would be showing up. I'm thinking back in pagan times about now. So, that's just a little taste of all the abundance that's to come throughout the growing season. And you want to be generous in your life. And one reason is because when you give, you get. And it's not that I'm saying that's the only reason you should be generous. It's not what I mean. You get. Do you get money back? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing you do get is a smile on your face, hopefully. If you have a heart, you do something good for someone, it makes you happy. You're getting something. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. It doesn't have to be a material thing. Just the feeling of helping others is what you get. And then ultimately, law of attraction, you practice gratitude, which is my next one, but you practice gratitude and you're generous, then material things will probably start to come your way. So do those things. So also make sure that you are practicing gratitude. Don't forget your gratitude journal. So important. So also what you can do, I already told you guys to do this, but don't forget to collect that dew on May Day before sunrise. You can perform sun magic. You could do a hand fasting. Many, 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 many witches get married on Beltane. Some on Samhain because it's the new year, but more on Beltane because the whole idea, fertility and love and marriage. Literally, marriage and literally fertility. So it's why a lot of people do that. And a lot of the gatherings that I have been to will have mass hand fastings, and it's really cool to watch that many people get married at once. It's pretty cool. You can also do broom jumping. So say you're at home, and even if you're already married, lay a broom out. Do this outside under the moonlight, but lay your broom down and hold hands with your partner and jump over the broom. Because that's what they would do back then. People that could not afford a wedding, they would do broom jumping, and it was accepted as a legal marriage. So let's see, what else can you do? Gardening. And when you're gardening, don't forget to make a little fairy play place. If you want to work with the fae, not everybody does. And they have good reason not to, because you don't want to piss off a fairy. But if you're comfortable with them, make a little thing for them out there. Put your bushes, plant your veggies, fruits, flowers, herbs, whatever you're going to plant. But then put a couple thingies down in there for the fae so they can have fun. So next, what you can do, you can take any of your remnants from your bonfires and save those, because you can use them later in different spells. You may have a spell that calls for anything related to the things that that go with this, like anything that goes with the fairies, fire, love, marriage, sex magic, fertility. You might want to use some of those ashes. So save a few ashes from your Beltane bonfire specifically, not just any bonfire, but save half a jar of those or so and label them, date them, and then just put them on your shelf or whatever, because you might need them for something, because they have a lot of magic in them. So, some spells that you can do. And I might do a couple of spells that I'm not going to mention today on camera because I wanted to demo a couple of them and also demo a really yummy incense that you can make. And that's another thing that you can do to celebrate is to make your own incense. I'll type up a list of correspondences, but basically anything that relates to the sun or love or marriage or fertility or even just summer, even spring things because it's still technically spring. You can bring those in and make an incense with those. You can decorate your altar by adding a cute little maypole or any of the things I just said. Any crystals that are good for Beltane, which would be crystals that relate to the sun, crystals that relate to love, marriage, fertility. Most stones are acceptable to use during Beltane. Most of them are. I would say maybe not a lot of dark stones, but most of the others, yeah, you should be good to go. Let's see. And what I would do too with my solar crystals, I would charge them on May 1st. Just for about 30 minutes as the sun's rising. Set them out there to welcome that sun on May Day. And they give them a little boost of energy. Definitely citrine. I'm just thinking about what I want to put out there. I definitely want to put all my citrine out there. Definitely want to put carnelian, maybe my sunstone and goldstone, pyrite. Any of those type of crystals, you want to put those out there and get a little of that energy. And I think that's all my ways to celebrate, except for my favorite, of course, a ritual bath. Actually, I have two more. I just thought of one. A ritual bath. So when you're doing your ritual bath, just take any of the correspondences that go with the sun or fire and put those around your tub. I would do red, yellow, and orange candles. Maybe just one of each. You could even do more. Have those going. Have your crystals going. Same colors. For incense, I would use cinnamon because I feel like cinnamon is just, it relates to me. It relates to the sun and fire and love and passion. That's just what it evokes in me. But I would use cinnamon incense, and then even patchouli would work, but it's not as tied to fire as cinnamon is. But have that going, and then just, add whatever herbs you want to add into your bath, or oils, or just salt, whatever you want to do. But what makes the bath a ritual bath is, as you're bathing, think about the intention of your bath. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to promote self-love? Are you just immersing yourself in the energies of Beltane? Are you doing a cleansing, a release of some type? Are you trying to bring something in? Just make sure you set some sort of intention. Even if the intention is that I just want to celebrate. I'm celebrating. I'm honoring the god. I'm honoring the goddess. I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating the marriage. That's fine. That's enough. Every ritual bath doesn't have to have, something that you're trying to bring in or get rid of. And then my last one, what I'm going to say, is to do a Beltane meditation. And what I like to do for this is just sit in a room that is lit with just maybe a red candle, and then just sit there with the candle, I usually don't listen to music when I meditate, but when I do, and I'm doing it like for Samhain or Beltane or Invoke, I'll put a playlist on for that Sabbath or Esbat, and then I'll put it really low, and then I'll do a meditation just to honor those energies and receive those energies. So don't forget to do that. And if you are ballsy enough, it would be a good day to invoke a sun god. Even if you wanted to invoke Baal, that's up to you. That's up to you if you want to do invocations. But be careful. I'll link my video on invocations below just in case you don't know what invocation means, because it's not the same as evocation. Please remember that. So spells. I gotta take a sip of my mugwort tea. And it tastes so funny. I don't think I put enough honey. Anywho, so next, my favorite part, spells. I'm not gonna go over all of them because I want to do some of them on camera for you. Probably do one tomorrow. I might even do one tonight because it's only 3. I really need to go to bed at night. Anyway, the first spell that I came up with is a fertility spell. Now, I am not currently trying to have a child, so I want to be very careful about the words I say aloud when I wind up pregnant. That would not be good. I'm not ready right now. But when you're working with any spell for fertility, whether it's for you or your animals or a friend, my go-to for fertility is Bast. Her energy is extremely playful. It's strong. It's warrior-like, but it's sweet. It's nurturing. So if you want to work on a protection, she's good for that too. But if you want to work on a fertility spell, call her in. And I would do it really simple. I would evoke Bast, not invoke her, just evoke her after I've casted my circle. You want to leave her offerings. She loves marijuana, if you can get that. She likes that. If you can't, she likes turquoise and a few other things. I can list my video about her too below so you can see what else she likes. But she loves marijuana and turquoise. But she likes other stuff too. She likes beer and wine and meat and stuff like that, and cat and fit cat. And things that cats like fish, cooked or raw. She likes milk. I couldn't think of the word milk. Anyway, she likes plenty of stuff, but I usually will leave her milk, turquoise, or some of the good old smoke. But anyway, you're gonna work with Bast for a fertility spell. Just take a petition. Doesn't matter what you write it on. Does not have to be parchment paper. Doesn't have to be a brown bag. Paper is fucking paper. Just write it down. What you want from her, or what you want her to help you with. What you want from the universe. Write it down. When you get to the part where you're going to sign your name, I suggest that you use a drop of blood and a quill pen or a glass pen, and then just dip it in that little drop of blood and sign your name. If you can't, because sometimes it's tricky to get enough blood out and get it to keep coming fast enough, then just take that blood and put a big bloody fingerprint over where you signed your name. And that ties that petition directly to you. And what can you do with it? Two things. You can either burn it, which, and I like to do this outside, number one, because it stinks. Number two, because I feel like the smoke is going directly up to the universe. Burn it outside, or bury it by a beautiful tree. Either one of those. Those are the best ways to dispose of petitions. So you can do that for fertility. You can also do a fertility jar where you would put just different correspondences in there that go with fertility, and a tag lock if you wanted to become pregnant yourself. Put a little bit of your hair if you're grossed out by the blood. Just put a little hair in there and just, layer those ingredients. And then keep that. I would keep it probably on my nightstand beside my bed or underneath the bed. You can also do spells that can help your relationship during this time. I'm not telling you to go put a love spell on a stranger or even somebody that you know. That's not what I said. I said you can do spells that will strengthen your relationship. And a lot of these little rituals that I have for that, I have already talked about in the little Valentine's Day video that I did, and I'll link it below so you can look at those. But this will be a good time to do those too, because it's all about marriage, relationships, and that's what you're doing, strengthening your relationship. You can also do spells for self-love. So just because you're alone does not mean that you're going to be alone forever. It's just your time to take a break and enjoy it while you can. Because pretty soon there's going to be a man living with you putting his socks everywhere. Or vice versa, a female putting pink pillows everywhere. So just enjoy your time. But let's see. The last thing that I had that I want to talk about briefly, because I don't want YouTube to go crazy, is sex magic. I think I'm going to do a whole video on this, because there's not a lot of them out there that really explain how it works and why it works. But if you are going to partake in sex magic, it is best that your partner knows what's going on. Because if you're with a partner that doesn't know what's going on, number one, you're only getting half the energy out there. And number two, it's kind of creepy. If you think about it. So have a conversation with them first. It'll even help, because then, you can say, okay, well, let's add some candles in, or even incense that go along with the intention, but you have to have a shared intention. It needs to be in the forefront of your mind and the forefront of their mind from beginning until the end. And I'll put this as friendly as possible. You want to prolong the experience as long as possible. So if you are married to, with, or you are a quote-unquote Minuteman, you might want to empty out the balls before the act takes place. Because what you're doing is, during sex, you're each building up energy, focusing on that intent the entire time. And then I don't know what happened, guys. My phone just decided I'm not going to record anymore. So anyway, when you finally climax, you release that energy into the universe. And it can be an extremely powerful way to accomplish your magic. So it's always best if the partner knows, because it helps. But if you're in the broom closet and you can't say anything, then you just do what you gotta do and keep the intent in your own little witchy head. And then when you're ready, you can release it yourself, and no, he doesn't, or she, doesn't have to be any none the wiser, but it's always best if you can share that. So I talked at the beginning about the fairy dew. So what you can do with the fairy dew that you collect, and be careful with it. Don't waste it, because you only get May Day dew once a year, and it's very hard to collect dew. You can build a contraption like out of a tarp. They do it to collect water on survival shows and shit I've seen, like where a tarp where it kind of goes down into this one cup. You can get more that way. If you want to do that, go all out. But it's something about, when you're scooping it off the clovers and off the plants, it just, to me, it makes it more magical. But Mayday dew is Mayday dew, right? So get as much as you can. And then one thing that you can do is take that and add a few drops in with your either liquid foundation, just a little, not a lot to make it watery and where you can't use it anymore. Just, even maybe just one drop and try it out. But adding that into there and then putting it on your skin. You can also take rose water. Try to use spring water for this if you can, or rainwater. Don't use the chemical stuff out of the faucet. Use at least bottled water. But take your bottled water and make I did a witchy spray video, but I don't think I put it on this channel yet. I will though. But boil three calendula bulbs and just about maybe 3 ounces of water, and then put on a slight boil. Throw in 3 calendula bulbs, a handful of rose petals. Pink is best for this because it's a self-love thing, but whatever color you have is fine. Put that in there, and 1 hibiscus flower, because they're pretty big dried. And then you're going to take that mixture, let it cool a little, and then strain it into a bottle, a little spray bottle. You can get them at the Dollar Tree. But before you put the cap on, put around 3, maybe even 7 drops of that dew, and spray that on your face every morning. Spray that on your face, and while you're doing that, think those affirmations in your head. And I'll link the video again, because I know some of you guys aren't watching them every day, but you really should watch that video every morning. It will help. It really does. I find days that I do the affirmations, I have a much better day than on a day when I don't say the affirmations. Same thing with my gratitude journal. So anyway, take that, and you basically giving yourself a huge dose of self-love with a little bit of help from the Fae, and go on about your day. You can also take the dew and add it to like a moisturizer, a serum, whatever you put on your face. But remember, you don't have a lot of it, so don't be willy-nilly with it. Another thing you can do with the fairy water, if you want to work with the fairies for abundance work and manifestation work, can be tricky and a little bit risky. Warning. But if you do want to work with the Fae for this type of work, what you can do with some of the dew that you got, just take your finger. You want to use your left hand, because your left hand is your receiving hand. Men carry their wallets in their back pocket. Usually women carry their purse over their left shoulder. But you're going to take your left hand, just your pointer finger, put it in the water, in the dew, get some out. Find 4 beautiful, shiny pennies. Penny is best. Okay, a penny is best for this one. They like copper. So you're going to take the shiny 4 pennies, put them heads up, put them on your altar. Make sure you wash them physically to get all the gross germs off of them. You soap, water, get them clean. And then smoke them out with something, whatever you want to smoke them out with. And then just add a little bit of the dew on each one with your finger, touching it with that finger, rub it, and roll it, rub the dew into the coin in a clockwise fashion, and just speak out loud to the Fae. Say something out loud about, basically your petition. Instead of writing it down, you're saying it out loud to the Fae so they can hear you. Because you're not going to write the petition and leave it somewhere. You're going to take these coins outside. So say that out loud to them. And make sure you thank them and be extremely respectful. Okay? And have an offering ready. Something sweet. They love fairy candles too. They love flowers, shiny things, bright things, whatever you want to leave. But take each coin, do the same thing to each one. Spend some time doing this. It shouldn't be I'm going to touch each one real quick with the water, with the dew, and then go do the second part. No, spend time with them. It's still a spell. Even though you're getting help from the Fae, it's still a spell. You're visualizing how your life is going to change every time you touch that dew, every time you touch that coin, and then the time in between. You are visualizing how your life is going to be different once what you are asking for manifests. That's what you're doing. That's any spell. So you're going to take those coins now, put them in your left hand, carry them gently and respectfully outside. If you cast a circle, take that circle down. Don't leave it up. And then you're going to leave your home and go outside. And if you can do this whole thing outside, that'd be great. Just do a little makeshift altar with a shoebox and a altar cloth. If you don't have an altar cloth, use, a paper towel or something. Not a paper towel, a hand towel. It's nice to have a little travel altar, though. Especially so you can go outside and do stuff, especially under full moons. So you're going to take those, and then you're going to put one, you don't have to bury it. You're just going to lay it heads up, one in each direction of your yard. Don't just go over here and here and here and here. Make sure you use your phone or a compass, but your phone has an app in it that's a compass. It's under utilities on the iPhone. So go to that, find your actual corners, and put one in each of those corners. And then say aloud again your petition to the Fae. Stand. Hopefully you can see the moon. Look up at the moon with your arms outstretched and thank the goddess, thank the Fae, thank the universe, and then your spell is cast. If you want to say so mote it be or whatever, you can. However you want to end it. And then you just leave those pennies there. You don't touch them. You don't do anything with them. There is one spell with the Fae with coins where you would do one coin and leave it out overnight under a full moon. And you don't have to have the special dew. But if you had the special dew, this would be a good spell to do. I keep saying dew. But take one coin, still a penny. Do everything I said before with it, but instead of putting one in each corner of your yard, you're just going to put one. When I did this, I put one on the top of the fence post because it was high up, and I knew that my daughter wouldn't move it, and I'd remember where it was mainly. So you leave it overnight from the full moon, get it before the sun comes up, and then put it somewhere special. Mine is in my Money Mojo bag, and it stays there. because I feel like it was blessed by the Fae that night, and they're continuing to bring me luck. So, just some ideas. I think that's it. I do think that's it. But try these things out. If you haven't been to a celebration before, this is one of the best ones to be your first, because there's so much going on. And if you have social anxiety or you're nervous, don't be, because nobody gives two shits about you. All they want to do is meet you, say hello, that's it. Nobody's judging you at these functions. It's not like high school. There aren't cliques. It's not like that. It's fun. It's fun, like going to a concert, but better, way better. So let's see. I think that's it. If you haven't tried the sex magic, try it. I was talking about fertility spells, and I didn't really mention animals. If you are, for some reason, trying to get your cat or dog pregnant, not you personally, but trying to hook it up with another animal. I'm sorry. But yeah, you can do different fertility spells on your animals, but please remember, guys, that breeding animals is shit. If you're a breeder, I'm sorry, you may hate me now, I don't really care, but breeding animals is not good. It's not good for the species. It's just not good for the planet. Adopt, don't shop. But if you're trying to get your cat, you want your cat to have babies because you have a bunch of friends that want a kitten and you just want a bunch of kittens, there are fertility spells that you can do with cats. And again, you would call Bastet for that, who would be perfect because she is the goddess of cats as well as fertility and love and magic and a bunch of other fun stuff. But you could probably do like a charmed amulet or talisman for them to wear, depending on what you wanted to charge it with. You do that with a little bell and have them wear it, or just do some visualization with the cat, or get some of the cat's fur and do a little mini fertility jar for the cat. You do that and then put it under its bed, under the cat's bed, her bed, I guess it would be her. Or you could take all of your powers and just do the old school thing and visualize. Stare at that cat long enough and visualize it having kittens. How many kittens, what color kittens, all that stuff, and just bring it to fruition. But I think that's all I have about one of my favorite days of the year, and I hope you have a fantastic one. And I'll be on to show you a couple of spell demos a little bit later. Alright, guys, like, subscribe, and share. Blessed be. Happy Beltane. Sorry, guys, I had one thing I wanted to add. So, when you're doing your flower crown, or you're gathering some flowers for your incense, or you're doing a spell, and you want to add any flowers in, I have some flowers that are specific for Beltane that can help you harness that energy, and they each have different meanings. So the first one, buttercups, are for love, commitment, fertility, fidelity, and humility. Next, columbine is for love, feminine power, beauty, and courage. Daisy, my daughter, and my best friend's birth flower, youthful energy, joy, love, flirtation, and baby blessings. Dandelion, divination, interaction with the spirit world, wishes. And I'll link my dandelion video below too, since I talked about those, because I have a whole video on those. I love dandelions. Honeysuckles are for intuition, psychic ability, prosperity, luck, and love. Hyacinth, love, joy, wishes, and clearing negativity. And then violets are for protection, love, restful sleep, tranquility, harmony, and luck. And you can add any other flowers. I just thought I'd give you guys those because they are specific for Beltane. But now I'm really finished. Alright, blessed be.